Tiptoe through the tulips, through the tulips.
And now you found the key.
Bunions and Dragons!
Well, thanks for coming back to Bunions and Dragons, your place to share our campaign diary, our Storm King's Thunder adventure with you. By the way, if you haven't played it yet, you plan on playing Storm King's Thunder, the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons module, out by Wizards of the Coast. Spoiler alert, every Dungeon Master will run it a little bit differently, so everything is not necessarily going to be in there, but we definitely don't want to spoil it for you. When we last left our adventurers, they were west of Mirabar, following Harshnag, or we call him Hashtag, the Friendly Frost Giant, in search of the Oracle. And we were descended upon by barbarians, led by Uthgard, the barbarian leader. We had some hilly terrain, the parties on the east, the berserkers on the west.
Wrong. We were in the west. The enemies were in the east. Get your direction straight.
There was a large geological structure near the middle of the battlefield that we couldn't climb.
It's true. We couldn't climb it. I tried. Splinter tried. We couldn't do it.
We had to go around. Our party started to veer to the north of that structure. We come around the bend and start the ranged attacks. Some of the berserkers, I think 3 or 4 of them, decided to go around the south bend and sneak around. Well, little did Professor Jellyman know, but this particular tribe, this Griffin tribe of barbarians, absolutely hates magic casters.
Not only didn't I know those barbarians were coming after me, but I didn't know that Hashtag, the Frost Giant, was such a lollygagger in battle. Hanging back, not doing anything. He's supposed to be big and bad and awesome, but he's left that up to me.
So, as Professor Jellyman came running around the bend, right next to Jeff Iron, the half-orc fighter, and unleashed a massive fireball, some big-time damage into about 5 of the berserkers, left them completely vulnerable to attack, and every single one of the berserkers, including the leader, who climbed up upon the mountain and started shooting his bow towards Jellyman. Every single attack was against the wizard. He was beaten down, he was bruised, he was battered, and he almost got out of there unscathed.
'Twas merely a flesh wound.
One more turn and he could have cast his invisibility spell and snuck away. But no. One final berserker got in one final strike and dropped the powerful wizard to the ground.
Yeah, okay, that hurt a little bit. Yeah, that one hurt.
Before being rendered unconscious by the berserker attacks, however, Professor Jellyman was able to cast a successful phantasmal killer against the leader, Uthgard, the barbarian. And with his portent ability, he had foreseen the failure of the savings throw.
Ah, so that's what that stuck-up wizard was babbling about over breakfast. Alright, makes sense now.
Of the 4d10, 2 of them were 1s. This was not the ultimate attack that was designed to be, and it exposed him. Exposed Professor Jellyman to those deadly blows. Before he succumbed, however, he had one more round of the phantasmal killer effects on the barbarian leader and used his second portent roll to know that the leader had failed its savings throw, and this time took some pretty decent damage. But obviously, when Professor Jellyman was rendered unconscious, that effect was no longer in play.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really see all of that coming.
The leader was no longer afraid of the wizard, as the wizard lay unconscious, surrounded by Jeff Iron.
I gotta admit, it was kind of funny to see that wimpy wizard with a 7 strength get dropped right at my feet.
And Bardacious.
Looks like I got somebody else to save.
Those two were able to clean up the rest of the mess, along with hashtag the Frost Giant, who finally lumbered his way into the fray. He certainly was in no hurry to get there, but he finally got there and dealt some deadly blows to the Berserkers. Professor Jellyman on his first death save had a success. Wasn't terribly worried. Of course, he's unconscious, so you don't worry too much then. The next death savings throw, critical failure. He's now 1 success and 2 failures, and 1 simple failure away from dying. Bardacious, after the Frost Giant dropped the final Berserker and the field appeared to be clear, Bardacious rushed over, laid his hands upon his fallen wizard companion, and with a level 4 Cure Wounds was able to restore 27 hit points.
You are healed. Rise, brother, and get back in the battle.
After some discussion on how coming back from unconsciousness should unfold, it was determined that he was Professor Jollymon was now conscious. He had to use half his movement to get from the prone position to standing up, and on his turn, he unleashed a level 4 magic missile, 120 feet, the full effect, right at the leader. He said something really cocky and arrogant, like those high elves do. The leader, I'm sure, was absolutely stunned to see the fallen wizard stand up, and with those 3 magic missiles flying right at him. I don't know what the last thoughts were that went through his head, but I know what was the last thing that went through his head, and that was those magic missiles. The leader was destroyed.
That's right. I'm a champion. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Jeff Iron was able to swing back down and reinforce Wolfgang and his wolf companion, and they were able to clean up. Oh, actually, no. They were able to dispatch all but 1 of the Berserkers. That hashtag, the Frost Giant, he finally got back into that side of the battle and obliterated the remaining Berserker. Hashtag knew these barbarians as the Great Worm Tribe and said they are usually found much more north than where they are here. He fears that is a sign of some bad things to come. Party was awarded 1,464 experience points each for the decimation of that barbarian tribe.
Woohoo! I definitely like experience points. Keep them coming.
And hashtag took the heads of the fallen barbarians that he destroyed. Professor Jellyman was so enraged at these berserkers that he cast his magic hand and then directed the hand to go out to the fallen berserkers, and with the magic hand thumb he stuck it in the eye of every one of the fallen berserkers, just crushing their eyeballs into their skull. It was some sadistic pleasure in terms of turning the tide on this battle and coming out victorious. Party noticed the emblem of the Quatl was at the winged snake that was on each of the berserkers' armor and other accoutrements. And Wolfgang was able to recover an oath bow from the leader.
Yay, my first magic item.
That was pretty cool. Go look up oath bow in the compendium and you'll see what special powers that had. And also recovered 21 arrows, stuck that into his quiver so he'll be able to launch some special attacks against some special bosses that are probably coming up. I'm sorry, yeah, so the barbarians were of the Griffin clan. They were being hunted by maybe this elite group from the Great Worm Tribe. A little foggy on that, frankly, which was which.
It's the other way around. You've mixed it up. I'm starting to see a trend here.
So it sounds like the elite party was the Griffin clan. That's the one that hashtag had slain before earlier in our adventures when we saw him come up before we knew who he was. With a half a dozen heads in his hands, those were from the Griffin tribe. and Hashtag said that they will not be happy to see him. Apparently the Griffin tribe was hunting the Great Worm tribe. Saw that they were decimated. They spotted Wolfgang and Splendor frolicking outside of the camp.
Tiptoe through the tulips, through the tulips.
We had the Frost Giant, Jellymon, Bardacious, and Iron setting up camp, getting things together. Bardacious is going to cast his tiny hut spell. We were thinking we'd get a good rest. We were wondering if we'd get a good rest. There was no good rest to be had. Wolfgang and Splendor were out having a bio. A little inside joke.
And you think that's funny? I'm not so sure that that's funny.
And looked off to the east to find this hardy group. Hashtag said that if this elite force was hunting the party that we slaughtered, knowing what he knows about that tribe, they would not be setting upon their targets unless they knew they had superior forces. And Hashtag predicted an even more intense battle. Professor Jellymon is still a little bit low on health. Bardacious gave him another cure wounds. There wasn't much other damage taken in the previous battle other than that. I'd say maybe half the spell slots have been expended in that first battle. We don't have an opportunity to recharge before the next adventure, which is coming up next.
That's right, I'm a champion. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.